effective.
Yeah, G2 does not have a ward on this dragon here. If they had a ward on dragon, they could have actually gone to Baron and started it to force a fight where Peanut would have been late. But they didn't actually see him take it down until now, and then it's obviously a little bit too late.
Yeah, and I do feel like G2's Drake control has been mostly non-existent, and that does consistently hurt them. Can they get an Ash Arrow?
Oh. Well, you can't catch the strut.
Yeah, Sven has had some poor aim on some Ash Arrows, but SKT has also always been very good at dodging initiations and skill shots, and that is amplified when you have stuff like the Misfortune who has Make It Raid and the double Cloud Drakes, which gives them all that move speed when out of combat.
All right, a little bit of a fight up in the top lane. Sven's going to try chase down with that Ranger's focus. Huni may not be able to survive. Uses the ultimate to escape. It's a heroic exit.
Huni gets out. But we got to see some of the damage here from Sven, and of course expect against him. Now meaning they're forcing him back to base, and once again, G2 around this Baron here, they have control wards on the Baron itself, and they're trying to look for that one pick with the Ash Arrow. Another member who can do it is Trix Lee Sin. Early game action, check. Mid to late game engages with flashy kicks. No, not yet. And we want to see that as well, because they have actually the setup here, Baron.
Oh man, but they were also hitting the ward as they started Baron, which gave momentary reveal to the killer right there, so SKT easily able to move in.
Yeah, that was miscommunication. Trick thought they would just kill the ward and back out, while the rest of G2 were probably calling to actually start the Baron. So just a little bit of a mixed call there from G2 Esports. Now forces them back and allows SKT to take these control wards down.
Yeah, and just going back about 45 seconds to when Huni nearly died to Expect and Sven up in the top lane. Despite Huni having 330 armor, which he's itemized almost exclusively, he still was getting relatively shredded through. It's about 5 to 10 seconds for the two of them to kill him, because they have the Black Cleaver Shred from Expect, as well as the Last Whisper and Blade of the Rune King already from Sven. So if they can catch him in isolated situations, by no means is he unkillable. But that time frame, 5 to 10 seconds, is far too long in a big team fight.
Well, there's two caveats there. If they can catch him alone, and if they can get 10 seconds to get through the front line. And of course, with Bang itemizing with that slightly defensive Ninja Tabi and Phantom Dancer, maybe he can fend off any pressure from Trick early on. Look, it's still a 3,000 gold game here for SKT. They got their third dragon a little while ago. There'll still be one more Cloud before Elder. And SKT can quite literally run circles around G2 right now.
Well, I'm still very glad to see G2 go back towards this Baron setup here and actually be allowed to set up these control wards, because it is really the way for them to win the game. Force and engage without SKT having proper vision, and then suddenly that 3k gold lead might not mean a lot if one guy from SKT dies instantly.
Yeah, exactly. The gold is still close as well, and there's no cleanses or Mikhails anywhere on SKT. So even though Sven hasn't landed the arrow yet, if he lands the right one, it could be big.
All right, Trick is caught up by the Chain of Corruption, though. He was looking for Peanut. Huni's now going to Justice Punch forward, and Perks is able to sidestep, but the tower's the focus.
Yeah, SKT have a ton of control now. Look at the low health bars already on G2, so SKT is pretty much entirely full, pushing up mid lane, and they can always fade back for Baron. Watch Huni just control whatever space he walks into, because he's so tanky.
Now there's simply no threat or risk.
We've seen this now multiple times. G2 are trying to set up a play, they fail the execution, and then SKT just respond by saying, great, we either get a kill or a tower from you guys. And they just respond so well to that missed opportunity from G2 Esports. It started with the arrow from Sven, and then Trick couldn't land his Sonic Wave, he had to then back away, and suddenly you had no position in mid.
And SKT can return to the offensive right now. Huni coming in!
Perks is in so much trouble. Collateral damage takes him down. Huni's looking for more. Already used the taunt though, and teleport in for the kill. What is the objective SKT want right now? Gonna be a kick backwards. Okay, 10 seconds is the timer. 9, 8, Huni's being killed, but there's not enough time. G2 don't have the damage, and Trick goes down to Peanuts.
And if taking Perks down wasn't enough to force a 5-man Baron, taking down the enemy jungler probably is. Faker going to continue to threaten people with Syndra, because the rest of the team can turn and burn this Baron.
Such exceptional play from SKT. The remaining members of G2 trying to make their way up to the mid lane. Actually, zero contest on this Baron. Expect instead is going to farm out that gigantic wave in the top lane. And the coffin has been laid out. SKT with Baron looking to close it.
Yeah, I'm glad we get to see Galio, first game here in the group stage. We saw it a lot in the play-ins, a lot of good performances from him. He won almost every single game except for one. And Huni in this game here, he survived the laning phase against Expect. He's been able to actually push the side lane consistently. And then he's just roamed to mid lane every single time and tried to look for some of these picks here with his taunt.
Yeah, right place, right time, and you compare the teamfight presence of Expect versus Huni, and it's not even close. Now he has the Spirit Visage as well, so Perks won't have any chance of bursting. We even saw in that last fight when Huni just had the Kindle Gem, the Shockwave barely scratched him. So add that to the fact that SKT is approaching 4 items on Faker. They still have a lot of damage from Bang, and they're just going to continue to try and move around this map and dictate the pace to G2.
I think if you step back and you look at the game as a whole as we get close to 35 minutes, this is somewhat what was expected coming in. I think G2 looked pretty good in the early stages of the game, but SKT, their poise, their control, their response to everything G2 threw at them, this is the reason. They're the defending world champions, the defending MSI champions, the #1 team in the world. It didn't even cost them anything despite some of their uncharacteristic mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we talked about coming into the game, how starting out with SKT often means that you will get your first loss very early on. But SKT has, of course, dropped games in the past in group stages, in best of ones. But in this one here, they've actually been able to just punish G2 Esports in this mid to late game. Because it's been engages from G2 that backfired, were missed Ashe arrows, or Lee Sin never really finding a way to the back line. And then SKT have just been playing that slow and steady game where we're just going to take your towers. Yeah,
I will say Trick has never been able to find any of those flanks, and that was a big question when they picked it early. They could have had more late game reliability, or even mid game reliability, had they gone with something like the Ivern, but they opted not to, and the small early game lead they may have gotten with him is negated here by the way SKT is playing the map.
Yeah, the play style that G2 actually put into the Rift today has been benefited with an Ivern instead. However, that is hindsight. That's something they'll have to talk about. Remember, G2 will play another game later today, as will SKT. And SKT are now knocking on the inhibitor turrets, top and middle. Huni is having Expect number. Nothing that Expect can do, and for now, G2 are holding off this siege and this push.
SKT, of course, respecting the fact that we are fairly late into the game and there are 3 to 4 items completed. So despite the gold advantage, you look at an Orianna with 3.5 items right now, you do not want to get caught by that Shockwave if you're Syndra, if you're Varus, because you can then still die. They're waiting here, another arrow goes wide. Trick though, he's trying.
Trick can't find anybody. Unleash power has already been used. Heroic entrance from Huni will bring him to the mid lane from top.
Trick did force a flash from Faker though. Faker respected the fact that kick flash could happen from the Lee Sin, so he flashed early, but they're pushing bot lane now.
Oh, they absolutely do. SKT are going to take down the tower already. Justice Punch will set up position for Expect. He's down. Dominus didn't even matter. Nifty's been forced away by the poke, and SKT take the first inhibitor of the MSI 2017.
Shockwave also completely whiffed from G2, so that means SKT can continue this offensive.
All right, let's see, what can they take? SKT backing away, a little bit of damage onto Huni, but it doesn't matter. Sven steps forward from the Winds of War. He's not going to find any further damage. Defensive flash from Huni. But SKT don't care. Look at this. Faker and Peanut, they've taken down another tower in the mid lane. Trick has still got access to that Dragon's Rage, but there's no damage following up. They're too far away. They're just going to look forward. Sonic Wave unable to connect, and SKT 10,000 gold lead, and the base is broken for G2.
And it's once again that situation where G2 try and start the fight. Everyone from SKT disengage, and then instantly they react. Okay, bot lane, that's where we're pushing. Take down the tower, take down the Renekton, and suddenly G2 Esports, after using their engage and didn't manage to get anything, well, you're not really going to win a fight then.
Exactly. Contrast SKT's coordination in the middle late game with that of G2, where G2 is fighting oftentimes 4v5 and then Expect ults on the side of a fight after it's already over and can't find his way in. And yes, G2 does have initiation. SKT has a little bit more poke in their team composition, but more so, SKT has just been dodging so many of the engages, it's making it seem like G2 have no tools. Because at least Sin, Orianna, Ashe, Zyra absolutely has initiation tools, but it doesn't feel like it against SKT.
Yeah, every single arrow that's been fired by Sven has been questionable at best over the last 20 minutes. And also, just to remind you, Sven, of course, loading up with the wrong keystone. A little bit of jitters on stage. where they start their campaign here towards MSI playoffs.
Ooh, right now, Trick is actually behind SKT. I don't think they saw him hide here in the Wolf camp. No flashes on Faker and Bang. If he can get onto one of those two guys, that could be a kill for G2. Finds Bang.
Gets caught. He's been kicked backwards. Dash arrow this time lands. The heroic entrance will knock Trick up into the air. Perks has killed Bang. Trick is able to flash away, but it's a 1-for-1. ADC for support. Expect has been exhausted in the back line. He's not doing enough. Now Peanut collateral damage comes down. Sven Perks is able to survive for a few seconds longer. Huni goes down, but it's just the GA. Wolf is lingering out in the edges of the fight. It's a 1-for-1 so far, and SKT disengaged.
And it's really important to highlight when Huni ultis to save a team member, that team member gets 50% damage reduction as well. So it actually takes much longer to take down a guy like Bang.
Yeah, it gives you an example of how much damage was blown into Bang. Yes, they get the kill, but even after that, it's SKT who tries to get the pressure. Faker's in deep though.
He is indeed looking for Miffy. He's gonna find him! The Dark Spears and Force of Will in a 1v4! Faker finds his man!
Faker always finds a way. He gives up first blood.
Mithy says it's unfair.
He then starts a 2v1. Goes in 1v4, finishes off Mithy, and what are you gonna do?
Good to see Trick though finally actually find the backline in the last fight. Obviously just to change that, it is 40% damage reduction from Huni when he comes in. Doesn't change a whole lot, and it was enough to obviously try and buy time for SKT. 1-for-1 fight, in the end 2-for-1 with Faker's play.
2-for-1 with Faker's play, and unfortunately for G2, it is just too late. They needed those fights, those picks 20 minutes ago. To give you a quick update about the pause, Miffy is querying one of the skill shots landing. I believe his E has requested a review.
Yeah, he said his E should have landed. Paused is asking for the review, so they are currently reviewing that. I would think we're going to get a replay. We can try and make a judgment on that as well. He also died, so I wonder if he was dead in the Edens. I didn't see it super clearly, but that's obviously what they're reviewing right now.
We'll keep a close eye on that and keep you updated. 40 minutes into the game, G2 finally make this combination work.
Took them long enough.
It did. But I think you have to step back and look at this. G2 also making a statement this game, right? Huni with the Galio, maybe a little surprising, but the Lee Sin for Trick, he's had some good plays. The early game setup was clean. And for G2, they're okay at the start, although they were expected to lose. Heavy underdogs this match.
Yeah, I mean, holding on for now and trying to go even in these late game fights is obviously a good thing from G2. Problem is they're just always losing a little bit more. Like whenever they trade 1-for-1, it's also an in-hit for SKT, or maybe that's a kill follow-up. Let's see the fight from before.
Yeah, we're going to get to see. So what we're paused for is watch Mithy's E. Should it have hit Faker?
No. That seemed
Looked like Faker just sidestepped it.
Definitely seemed like the stun was over.
Yeah.
Faker got to move again. And of course, the E from Mithy seemed to hit where Faker was actually stunned before.
I also think I saw Faker just throw down his Ghost as well. Just giving that a little bit of extra movement speed. We'll wait for the league officials to give us the final call, but at least to our eyes, it feels like that was a miss.
Yeah, League Ops has determined it should not have hit, so they're getting ready check, and we should be right back into the game. I think one of the bigger stories for SKT this game, though, is, yes, we had some missteps from Faker early. We had the SKT bottom lane going a little over-aggressive at times, but I thought Peanut and Huni have been completely on point. Huni has commanded so much presence, and Peanut has been the one sneaking in those kills at the back end, not to mention heavily out-pressured and out-farmed Trick throughout this game.
Oh, yes. Been a big difference in the top lane. I actually think G2 are a little bit surprised at what Galio brings to the table. Not saying they don't understand what the champion is doing, but we saw moments where they were trying like trade tower pushes and then Galio would just wave clear it. They probably didn't respect that part. The damage reduction Galio's ulti brings when they try and create a pick. Like, it's been very difficult for G2 to deal with this Galio pick here, and that's kind of what we hoped in a way, because then if Galio can make his way into like the ST of the top laners and we get to see him almost every game, that would be very exciting.
And if it's not the ST of every game and it ends up getting banned, what are you losing in exchange for that, right? How does the game change around Galio that has kind of, I don't want to say surprised us, because Galio has been seeing more and more play. Loading back into the game, just to give you start, 40 minutes in, SKT have responded to everything G2 have thrown at them and simply outplayed Europe's #1 squad.
This is the engage we get from Trick, where he was hiding behind SKT. Ulti comes in for Huni, so Bang stays alive for a little longer. They will get the kill and end up trading 1-for-1.
Yeah, and after the 1-for-1, then it is still just a bit of a team fight, right? Trick is dead, but Sven, as well as Perks, do get pushed out of the fight. by Peanut for a little bit of it. Huni then taking the full 10 seconds pretty much for his Guardian Angel to go down. The fight ends up resetting.
See, we're back now. See what SKT actually wants to do. Baron is alive, 40 minutes into the game, still a massive goal lead in favor of SKT. No fourth item completed for Perks just yet. Ready for Sven though, so the carries from G2 are not weak at this point.
Well, they've got some difficulties because there's 2 lanes of super minions pouring through. Look at the vision that SKT is working with.
So SKT
for G2.
SKT has not placed a ward in the Baron Pit, so they don't actually get to see the blue trinket that's placed by G2 unless they step into the Baron Pit itself to kill it. A lot of teams like to just place a ward in there just for safety to always spot these blue trinkets. SKT this time around, they will find it later once they go to the Baron.
A little bit of an oopsie.
Yeah, and a lot of this is actually a timing game. They're waiting for the wave of super minions in the bottom lane to full expect away, because right now G2 is hoping that SKT try a 5v5 fight. They're going to move up there and get the ward right now.
Yeah, and it's not really like an oopsie, because you're not supposed to actually place a ward on red side in the Baron Pit, because you're supposed to place it in the river and in the entrance to G2's jungle. You just have to obviously go back and then check from time to time that, you know, there is a potential blue ward you have to kill, which they just did right now. Trick is having fun with the dragon. But,
hello, Trick.
Oh, he's holding
cutting you off, man.
Gets out of range of the Justice Punch. Has already used the Dragon's Rage. Okay, Elder Dragon's the focus here for SKT with 4 elementals.
Here's the thing, even if G2 steals it, they don't get that big of a reward, so this is really smart by SKT to just full force the Elder.
They're going to secure it uncontested here. Shockwave actually was thrown down. That means it was contested, but Peanut easily able to secure that with the smite. 4-0-2, he's Flame Horizon Trick on that Graves. Sniped so many G2 members with that collateral damage, and really just been everywhere his team has needed him the entirety of this game.
G2 now needs to give up this Baron against a 4-Drake Elder Drake. It's not exactly what you want to fight right now, but they will be forced into some sort of team fight, because SKT with Baron buff Elder Drake as well, plus their advantage will just force it.
Yeah, SKT did that exactly right. They get the Elder Drake, they get the Baron, they empowered recall, they elixir up, because multiple people were sitting on max items. You even see a serrated Dirk coming in from Wolf. Now they can just five-man push down those inhibitors once again, probably even go for inhibitor number 3 and try and get the full, complete victory.
G2 here trying to set up a Fnatic Death Rush. Problem for them is right now, SKT are just pushing top and mid lane. So
when there are no doors on your house, you cannot sit in the backyard of your enemy and hope that they'll be setting up a barbecue. Anyways, SKT with Baron empowered minions and 1-2 cannons up in this top lane. They're just going to try apply some pressure. Huni is throwing out those winds of war from the flank of G2, and it feels like just a matter of time until somebody gets caught out here, or Sven decides to throw down the arrow. It catches onto a Wolf. Huni's coming in from the side. Heroic entrance will save Peanut's life, and Expect is the man that goes down. He's already been popped. That G8 not going to be used. As it stands, SKT will take a 3rd inhibitor. The bottom one has respawned, so will the middle one very, very soon.
Really got to see the damage reduction of the Galio ult come in huge there, because Peanut looked like he was way further up than he should have been, but he still survives thanks to Galio and the heal from Bang, and this allows SKT to take down their 3rd inhibitor and prep the final push.
Such beautiful play from SKT. A little bit longer than maybe some people would have expected. To G2 for making that happen, but as it stands, they just ran out of ammunition in the mid-game. SKT, Baron, and Elder sieging down the Nexus turrets. Trick's gonna look forward, he finds a kick onto Bang, but the root misses! Once again, 2017!
Mid to late game. SKT managed to punish G2 Esports whenever there were a fail engage, a missed skill shot. So often did we see it in this game from G2 Esports, and every single time SKT took a kill, a dragon, or a tower.
And so many times, SKT was able to find the right fight, in part because they never let the opponent do the same. They are so good at dodging any initiation G2 is trying to throw at them. After there was that 5-man dive from G2 in the bottom turret in the early game, that was pretty much it as far as proactive plays that G2 could make, and the rest of the game was all SKT.
And that is an exciting time for an SKT fan. And we need to see who's going to compete with them, right? SKT, traditionally, a little bit slow out of the gates. Made a few mistakes today, but really not that bad in the grand scheme of things. And what was a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it's your first game right now of the tournament for SKT. It's fine if it's a little bit shaky here and there. It's the standard, honestly. If they get the win, that's the important part.
A big yawn from Wolf.
Like, oh, here we are again.
I guess that was 44 minutes. That was longer than we expected. Their average game time was much lower this year, but you can tell SKT knows they're in for the long haul. Peanut attending his first MSI as Huni, the happier of the team with the win.
Yeah, of course, Huni. Played MSI 2 years ago, lost to SKT prior to EU, but it was really with Fnatic where Huni began to win the hearts of the West, and now he's crushing them.
Yeah, means a lot for him, because that's the thing about Huni, you know, was on the practice squads of Samsung and SKT, never got to play that first game in the LCK before he actually came to Europe and made a name for himself. But yeah, I like the Galio a lot. I like his performance on it. I like Peanut in the jungle as well in this game here. Fun to see it wasn't about, you know, Bang, who we talked so much about earlier in this game here. Faker, of course, did Faker things.
Yeah, Bang actually played this game very defensively, even with Sven coming in without fervor on Ashe. They were the ones heavily attacked. It was kind of the old school Bang & Wolf for use to just absorb the pressure and allow the rest of the team.
And there was so much pressure to absorb. G2 made it very clear which lane they were prioritizing and focusing. So SKT, they start with the win. G2 do not. G2 will be playing Flash Wolves a little later today.
Yep.
I don't think they walk away with their heads too far down. You know, they were the expected underdogs in this one, and they put up a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, I think they had to run into a lot of adversity early on in this game, right? Taking the wrong mastery on Sven. They did jump out to an early lead. This is the type of game you'd almost want to have if you weren't going to win. They had advantages. Yeah. They know they can build off them, and they have actionable things that they can clean up, right? So expect these to play a little bit better with the team, and they need to find better initiations.
It's not a bad thing to face SKT as your very first game, because it is your first game on stage. If you lose, well, you play against SKT, so it would probably been a loss anyway. Flash Wolves, though, is also tough, and that's the thing. G2 Esports probably the toughest opening schedule, and they are a team with a lot of pressure on them, and I can see, you know, when you're potentially 0-2, it can get difficult.
I want to talk a little bit more about this Galio pick, because in all of our prep, we're coming in, yes, you know, we talked a little bit about Galio, but you expected that early in the draft.